Yo, welcome back to the channel. And if this is your first time clicking on the channel, Karibu, this is VayVonte, where I share my life story and the content with you guys. Right now I'm traveling around the world and I'm on the motherland, the continent, Mama Africa. Right now I'm in Nairobi and I met this guy next to me yesterday. He's coming in from all the way from South Africa to Nairobi. So man, I have a lot of questions for you, bro. So you could tell him your name and a little bit about yourself, anything.
Hello, all the viewers of the channel. My name is Ori Shapira. I'm from Israel. I'm 24 and I'm currently just traveling. It's actually my first travel in my life. I left Israel like 5 months ago and started traveling in Africa.
Wow. I didn't even know this is your first travel. That's amazing. Wow. So yeah, he's 24. I'm 22. Shout out to that, man. Young people,
Yeah.
we like this I'm telling you, our generation, we're changing shit, man. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. So, man, you're coming all the way from literally like the tip of the continent, bro. And now you're like halfway through. And you said your journey stops here and then you head back to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So my first question is, why don't you just drive all the way up to Israel? It's connected.
Yeah, that's actually both a good question and something that I really wanted. But there were just a few challenges that unfortunately make this really just not possible. First of all of Africa, or most of Africa in every country I've been in, drives on the other side of the road, and therefore also the steering wheel in my car is also on the other side. And Israel has a bit of strict laws, so you're pretty much not allowed to drive a car like this, any car with the steering wheel on the wrong side.
Really?
And yeah, it's a big shame, because if it wouldn't be that, I would have maybe done that. I mean, there's still other difficulties. You have to drive through South Sudan, and then Egypt. It's a bit difficult. I only possess an Israeli passport, so even more difficult. So
That's a hostile.
Yeah.
That's a passport with a lot of.
but it is possible. I mean, it is possible, but just the car wouldn't have any use in Israel, and it's too expensive to change the steering wheel. So unfortunately not. But that would have been a dream.
Wow.
Yeah, that would have been a dream.
Yeah, maybe one. That's amazing. So yeah, maybe one day when they like ease up the restrictions when it comes to like crossing through Africa, because right now like it's definitely like way too difficult. Like I literally came from Tanzania to Kenya, and Kenya is right there. Like I don't know why they don't make it just one visa like for all of East Africa. Like it's just the way of getting money, I guess. But wow, man, yeah, that would have been amazing. Like going from South Africa all the way like literally to the tip of the continent.
That would have been amazing. The thing is, it is possible. So at the end of the day, I didn't do it, but it is possible to cross. Actually nowadays a bit better. I've actually met some travelers along who are also driving from Cape Town in South Africa all the way to Norway. Yeah, very crazy people.
No way.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
They're driving all the way to Egypt through Sudan and South Sudan from Uganda, and then they're taking a ferry, like a big ship to Greece.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say like, how are you gonna cross? Because I was like,
they also wanted to enter Israel, but from Israel to Syria it wasn't possible for them, so they just took from Egypt to Greece.
holy shit, yeah. I was thinking like they were gonna take like a crazy route, like go from all the way to Cape Town, all the way on the east to north, and then go west to Morocco, and then cross. But I forgot Spain and Morocco is not literally connected, but it's very, very close.
Yeah, I'll actually tell you something that is that's interesting. There is a traveler who is taking my car. We'll talk about that later, but he was taking my car. He's buying it from me here in Kenya, and his plan is to go to South Africa, and then from South Africa all the way along the west to Morocco, and then maybe move it with it to Europe. So that's his plan.
So yeah, he's gonna do what you did, but like the opposite. He's gonna go West Africa instead of East.
And he plans to do an even longer trip. So we'll see how that goes for him.
You're from Israel, man. That's like a country, like it has, to my knowledge, it has like a lot of like tension like with other countries and stuff, but I don't know too much, so you could maybe educate me. But what made you want to come to Africa? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
elaborate on that.
So yeah, Israel is a small country in the Middle East. It's a very special country. I really love the fact that I'm Israeli and that I'm from Israel. We actually half of a desert country, and then half of the country is a very green mountainous region, and we also have a very long and great coastline of the Mediterranean Sea, which is really a great sea because its temperatures are very nice, not like usual oceans, and we get the occasional good waves, so we do have a great surfing community, but at the same time the beaches are it's not like an ocean. It's so it's a great mix.
Wow.
And it's definitely challenging living like that, but at the end of the day we are a country that looks out for peace, and whoever wants peace with us, we do peace with them. But the most important message that I have to say is that Israel is a peace looking country and wants peace, but we live in a difficult world, unfortunately. And your second part of the question is
made you come to the motherland? Because I know there's a lot of stereotypes out there about this holy land, man. I mean, despite it being like literally like raped for all its resources, like the people, like everything. So we know like people like in the back of their head, like they have like this perception of Africa like it's just poverty and starving kids, but we all know like that's the opposite, because this is like the most abundant place to me as far as food. Like I never go hungry here. I'm always like overfed if anything, and it's just like rich in culture, like everything. So what motivated you to come to the motherland, man?
Yeah, first of all, I really like the phrase motherland. I also feel that is the truth for me. Something that really like intrigued me in Africa is just like the sheer size of this continent. I mean, just the ability to. This is a continent that allows people to, with a car, with just a backpack, they can literally go from one end to the other end of the second biggest continent in the world, and just that intrigued me. Like the amount of things you can see because just of its sheer size.
Yes.
And
right in the center of the world.
Yeah, exactly. And also, what else that really encouraged me to go is that so many different countries, very big countries, and they're all very different. And so I knew that I would see and have many different experiences.
You must have had so many different
with that, and the nature is very unbelievable. And then the other thing is that the wildlife here is just really something to behold, because there's nowhere else like that in the world anymore. And it's not only a privilege to go and see wildlife and wild animals in the wild, but it just opens your eyes to what this world created along with us.
Yes.
And many people just don't see that enough, and it definitely changed my perspective of the world after I've been around here. And
you probably gained so much knowledge throughout all the travels, because you said it was like a span of 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Wow, this thing is holy crap. Wow. So what was your biggest fear, like coming through all these places? Like what was one thing you were kind of like almost every day, or did you have no fears?
I mean, when I was starting to plan to go to Africa, and then I looked out at the different ways I can approach this, whether try and buy a car, which is at the end of the day what I did, or maybe rent some sort of vehicle, or just travel like as a backpacker and use the public transport. Many people would come to me and say, well, Africa is at the end of the day it's a poor place and it might be a bit dangerous. If you buy a car and you go to rural places, what can happen? I mean, can you sleep wherever you want? Is it dangerous? And those things, I didn't fear it as much as the same as like what people came and said to me and like told me like, yeah, you should. That's something important. But it definitely made me just put that in my mind that there are some things that I should do to take precautions and to do things and I did sometimes like make a mistake and a bit of dangerous things could have happened, but if you do things properly and there is no, I mean, for 6 months in Africa, at the end of the day, I never felt in real danger, never been threatened. There was only one time, but out of 6 months, and I do really feel safe. And
that tells you that after
and I've been from South Africa to here, and I really do feel safe. The other thing that was when I decided to go and to travel with the car, then it was definitely like a big leap of faith. Because
I was gonna ask you that. Like, it must have taken a lot of like faith. Like, it's not just logic. When it comes to like big adventures like this, it takes like a lot of like mind and heart combination. Like a lot of trust in yourself and the Almighty, whatever you believe in.
Yeah, like definitely, because for example, this car that I bought, it's registered in South Africa, and that means that I'm not really able to sell it on in Kenya and now register it in Kenya. Just the laws doesn't allow that. Wow. And that meant that when I started my journey in South Africa, I mean, I couldn't know if I would find a buyer that would be a good situation for me. And I really took the risk that I might not find a buyer and I would have to go all the way back to South Africa. And that was something that I had in mind. And I mean, I did have a bit of fear for that. But the reason I did take this leap of faith is because I just said to myself, okay, the only thing I might lose from that is time. Because if I do all my travels and I reach, for example, Kenya, or at the beginning I wanted to end my journey in Ethiopia, and I told myself, if the worst case scenario, I wouldn't find a buyer and I would now have to go back to South Africa, the only price I would pay is the time that I would have to put in going to South Africa, because it's not like I wouldn't enjoy that part. And I'm lucky enough to have the time resource available for me, and what is time? If I was 6 months in Africa or 9 months,
right.
I'm the one who earns from it at the end of the day.
This is some exclusive stuff, guys. Some exclusive stuff. This is gonna motivate somebody out there. So you came all the way to that space. And I know like Africa is very abundant in wildlife. Like there are like a lot of modern cities, like even better than the US in some parts, in my opinion. But I know you had to go through some roads where it was like nothing for miles. So how often did you come across wildlife? Did you ever have to like stop in the middle of the road for a fucking elephant or giraffe, or did you ever hear a lion or hyena calls at night?
Yes, so definitely there are some countries that are very, very vast, and they just huge areas. You can drive all day on like one straight dirt road, and all you see is just nature. And yeah, definitely. I mean, there are some countries where you can see elephants along the roads. Like even yesterday, I was driving in Kenya from a park called Masai Mara all the way to Nairobi, and I was just driving in regular, in rural areas, but not like a park, just nature. And I saw zebras along the road and wildebeests, and yeah, it's definitely something very special here in Africa.
But no lions. No.
I mean, I did have quite a few nights just out there in the bush, and unfortunately or fortunately, like depends on how you see it. I didn't come across any dangerous animals like when I was sleeping in nature, but they definitely are there. Like also, if you find a mountainous region and you hike there, there are leopards going around and other cats, and you really want to see them. And if you're lucky enough, you do see them. But it really is incredible to see incredible animals just in nature, not even like in a safari.
Yeah, I was wondering. I'm like, wow, did he ever come across like a lion or something ever? But those are usually stereotypes, so it's not like there's a lot of wildlife here, but it's not as crazy as someone from the outside might think.
Yeah, I can like elaborate on that. Lions are probably gonna be found only like in safaris, but many of them are they don't have any fences, and as wild animals go, they just go wherever they want. And they do sometimes go out. Many times, like local farmers have their cows eaten by lions.
Yeah, especially outside people.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, also these animals, they know that we humans are just something that is more dangerous to them. They evolved this instinct through many years living alongside humans in Africa.
Generation after generation. Yeah,
So they do know to also get away, but there are stories, it does happen.
Yeah.
It does happen when there is a conflict in just natural places between people and wild animals, and it is there.
How difficult was it crossing the borders? Because like in countries like this, I'm not gonna lie, they could be a bit corrupt. Like I've had experiences like where they'll bother you just to bribe you for money at the end of it. So crossing the borders, you're obviously like not African by birth, and you're out here with the car and everything. So how were you treated at the borders?
Yeah, so firstly, I really have to say that the African people, and this is just a big word because there's many countries, so I'm not really like saying like as a whole, but every country I've been in, the local people have all been just incredibly kind and very friendly and helpful, and I'm as a non-African coming from outside, traveling around, I do feel a lot of love and in many different places, and this is something that is important to be said before I say the next thing, that unfortunately sometimes there are some police that are a bit corrupt, and they do see maybe a white person and they would try to take advantage, and this happens, and what I've learned in time, that I do my things right. The car I have is owned by me, and I have all the documents I need. And yes, sometimes crossing a border can be a long procedure, but if you have your documents and everything, you can. At the end of the day, I crossed every border, and I crossed it. The day I came with no problems. Different situations like in the border, and sometimes the police officers do try to harass you a bit and get stuff out of you, but I just have a thick skin, and I never actually had to give a bribe in a border post. I had all my stuff, and there was no problem. At the end of the day, it's very comfortable traveling here and crossing through borders, and you just need to apply the laws.
Yeah, just be patient and do your thing. All right, so I just got one more question. You can make this one a short answer. So throughout all the travels, what was like, what's one thing that you've learned? What's like one thing that stuck with you?
I tell you that. So obviously, as I said, this was like my first like big real travel as an adult in my life, and I did do a little bit of travels of it in Europe, like before I went to Africa. And one thing that just like I got better at, and I just grown into, is just the ability to meet new people and just share your story and be open, and also learn from them. And I feel like that I'm very happy that I feel like that I as a person can go and open myself up and tell people like what I am, and without like fear or like being conscious about my good sides and my bad sides, and just just be yourself.
I hope you guys enjoyed that talk and got some inspiration from Ori. Unfortunately, my phone ran out of space within the last 5 minutes, but basically I was just telling him how I admire what he's doing, and he's like a prime example of that. Like anything is possible, and if you just go out there and live your life, like you'll have so many wild experiences and stories to tell years from now. So man, like the video, share, comment what you think, and put this story out there, and I hope this touches somebody's heart. So VonTe signing off. Peace.